Good morning friends, welcome back to Relief Tutorials. In the previous lecture we have solved some numericals connected to uniform accelerated motion and their equations. Three equations we have derived. V is equals to u plus at, S is equals to ut plus half at square. This was the derivation we have done. V is equals to u plus at here. S is equals to ut plus half at square. And last one was S is equals to v square minus u square by 2a. Regarding these, we have solved some numericals. Blue color questions from page number 110 and 109 that we have solved. 2 or 3 more questions are there in exercise page number 112. Take out your textbook, page number 112, exercise. From exercise already we have solved question number 1, 2 and 3 previously because they are based on distance and displacement and average speed or velocity. Question number 4, look at this. A motorboat starting from rest. Starting from rest means its initial velocity is 0. A motorboat starting from rest on a lake accelerates in a straight line. Accelerates, so it performs accelerated motion at a constant rate of 3 meter per second square. Acceleration is 3 meter per second square for 8 seconds. So the question is, how far does the boat travel during this time? How far means they are asking for to find the distance traveled in the given interval of time. Initial velocity, this is page number 112, exercise question number 4. Initial velocity u is equals to 0. Acceleration a is given as 3 meter per second square. It moves for 8 seconds and asking to find distance traveled. So S is our question. We have formula S is equals to ut plus half at square, and I have told you that if you have u is equals to 0, you can use that formula. S is equals to ut plus half at square. Therefore, S is equals to, since u is 0, 0 into t will be 0, so it left only half at square. Therefore, S, put the values, S is equals to half into a is 3 and t square is 8, 8 are 64. So 232, and therefore S is equals to 32 3s are 96 meter. So the distance traveled by the boat is 96 meter, and that's all. Okay, now question number 5. It's a graphical question, but then also we will solve. A driver of a car traveling at 52 km per hour applies the brakes and accelerates uniformly in the opposite direction. See, he applies brakes, so accelerates uniformly in the opposite direction means it is uniformly retarded. The car stops in 5 seconds. So it moves for 5 seconds and it stops. Another driver going at 3 km per hour only. Look at the speed. Another vehicle. 2 vehicles are there. Consider the first one is car A. So car A was traveling with the speed 52 km per hour initially. And the driver applies the brakes. The car travels for 5 seconds and it stops there. Another car B, for example, it is initially traveling with only 3 km per hour, means it is already slow, and he applies the brakes slowly and stops in 10 seconds. It stops after a long time of 10 seconds. So what to do? On the same graph paper, plot the speed versus time graph, means velocity versus time graph you have to plot for the two cars. Which of the cars traveled farther after the brakes were applied? Nice question, logical and fundamentally good question. Two cars are there. We have to plot the graph for them on the same graph paper. Two cars are there. For car A, let us check the information first. I am writing here car A and car B. Car A initial velocity is 52 km per hour. So it is 52 km per hour. And it stops after what time? Look at that question. It stops after just 5 seconds. It stops after 5 seconds. So stops means final velocity is 0 and 5 seconds is the time required to stop that. Okay. What about car B? Car B initial velocity U is just, what is that? 3 km per hour. And final velocity is 0 again. It takes 10 seconds to stop. Now here you have to just plot these things on the graph. You have to plot the velocity or the speed versus time graph. Velocity versus time graph you have to plot. Now two things can be done. See here the velocity is given in terms of 52 km per hour. Normally what we do in all the numericals, we have converted kilometer per hour into meter per second. But here there is no need to convert these things because we are not going to find what? We are not going to find the acceleration here. But at the same time, one question is here that you have to find out which car travels farther after the brakes are applied. Means you have to find the distance for both. And if you want to find your distance in terms of meter, then you have to convert this kilometer per hour into meter per second. One more thing, why it is necessary to convert kilometer per hour into meter per second? Because here it is kilometer per hour and the time is given in terms of seconds. So these units are not matching. So compulsory you have to convert here this kilometer per hour into meter per second. So 52 kilometer per hour. 52 into 5 by 18. So 52 to 5 by 18. So it will be 2 9s are and 2 26 are. 26 5s are 130. 130 by 9. So 9 ones are 9, 4 left, 4 0, 9 4s are 36, 4 0. So it will be 14.44444. So let us say 14.4 meter per second. So this is the initial velocity for car A. Initial velocity of car A is 14.4 meter per second. What about the initial velocity of car B? It was 3 km per hour. So 3 into 5 by 18. So it is 3 6 are. So it is 5 by 6. 5 by 6. So 5 divided by 6. So it is 0. 6 8s are 48. 6 3s are. So 0.83 is enough for us. If you consider 2 decimal points, let us consider 14.44. And here 0.83. This is initial velocity of car B, meter per second. Final velocities for both is 0 already. Now you have to plot these things on the graph. You have to draw the velocity versus time graph. So see here carefully. velocity versus time graph is here. The time required to stop the first car is 5 seconds and second car is 10 seconds. So you have to take 0 to 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And here it is 14.4 meter. On the velocity axis, the maximum velocity is 14.44. So you can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and the 15. So it is 1. I am not writing the numbers, it will be too small. Here it will be 1 second, 2 second, 3 second and last one is 10 second. Here the last one is 15 meter per second and time in terms of second. Now what about car A? Initial velocity is 14.44. Initial velocity is 14.44. So this is 14. Second last marking is 14. So 14 and 15. So this is 14.44. So it is almost 14.5 nearly. So you can have a point there. 14.44. This is the initial velocity at when the brake started to apply. It is 3, 4 and 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, its velocity becomes 0 because it stops in just 5 seconds only. So this is the last point. It is uniformly retarded. So you can join these 2 points. So this is the graph going down for car A. Okay. Second car, its initial velocity is 0.83 meter here. 0.83 means nearly here, for example, just below 1, and it takes 10 seconds to stop. Okay, so the last point here is at 10. So the graph is like this. Very small. Okay, this is the graph for car B. And now the question is, yes, one question you have solved. You have plotted both the graph on the same paper. But the question is, which of the two cars traveled farther? In the velocity versus time graph, distance can be calculated. See, we can calculate distance from here, from the given information also. We have formulas for S. S is equals to ut plus half at square, or S is equals to v square minus u square by 2a. But once you draw the graph of velocity versus time graph, we know that if you find the area covered under the region of line, under the line of graph, we can find the area. So can I say the distance traveled by car A is equals to area covered under the graph of line A. So this is the graph of car A, and area covered under that means what? It is right angle triangle. So it is half into base into height. So half into base is of 5 into height is, you know, that 14.44. So 7.22. Okay. So 7.22 multiplied by 5, it will be 7, 5, 35 and 22 5 is 110. So it will be 36.1 meter. So the distance traveled by car A once or after the brakes are applied is 36.1 meter, and distance traveled by car B, again it's a very small right angle triangle if you see. So it is again half into base into height. So half into base is 10. Again height is 0.83, we know it. So it's 2 5s are. So the distance traveled by that is nearly 4.15 meter. So distance traveled by car A after the brakes are applied is more than the distance traveled by car B. This was question number 5 we have solved. Question number 6 already we have completed. Question number 7 is to be done. Now look at that question number 7. A ball is gently dropped from the height of 20 meter. A ball is gently dropped from the height of 20 meter if its velocity increases uniformly. It is given that velocity increases uniformly, means it is performing uniform accelerated motion at the rate of 10 meter per second square. Acceleration is given. With what velocity will it strike the ground? One question. Second question, after what time it will strike the ground? So with what velocity it will strike the ground and after what time? Question number, it is 7. The situation is like this. One of the ball is gently dropped from certain height and that height is 20 meter. So this is 20 meter height. From there this ball is gently dropped, such type of motion in which you are just letting the object fall down freely. This type of motion is called as free fall. You are not throwing the ball downwards. You are just leaving the ball to fall like this. Just you are leaving the ball. You are not forcing to go down. It is what simply like just to make it what? Just to make the ball fall freely. Is that clear? Such type of motion is called as free fall, in which initially you have not given any velocity. So its initial velocity is what? 0. Okay. Distance to be traveled, we know that it is going to fall downwards and it reach to the bottom. Here, so what is the distance traveled? Distance traveled is 20 meter. So what are the informations given to you? Initial velocity is 0. Distance to be traveled by the ball is 20 meter. And now what to find actually? You have to find after what time it will strike the ground and with what velocity. This is the initial velocity. We know that it goes down, its velocity keep on increasing, means it is performing accelerated motion. Here it is given that its acceleration is 10 meter per second square. So when it reach here at the bottom, what will be its final velocity and after what time it is going to reach there? These are our questions. Okay, it's a tricky one. Now we know that it's a uniform accelerated motion, so we can use those three equations. V is equal, let me write here again, V is equals to U plus AT, S is equals to UT plus half AT square, S is equals to V square minus U square by 2A. Now what to find V and T? If you want to find V is equals to U plus AT, but you don't have T already. So in first equation, if you use V and T, two terms are missing. So we cannot find it. So S is equals to UT plus half AT square if you calculate. So S is given, U is given, T is missing, half A is given, only T is missing in this equation. It's very easy to solve. Okay, if you want to use third one, S is given, V missing, U given, A given. So you can use out of these two any one of them. Let us use third one. So S is equals to V square minus U square by 2A. Therefore, S is 20 is equals to V square missing minus U square. U is already 0, so no need to write here, upon 2 into A. 2 into A means 2 into 10, 20. Therefore, 20 into 20 is equals to V square. So what will be V? V is equals to 20 meter. meter per second. So final velocity with which the ball is going to strike at the bottom is 20 meter per second. And now t is missing, so I think t can be easily now so you can use second one and to calculate t. But once you have v, you can use the first equation. V is equals to u plus at. Therefore, v recently found as 20. So 20 is equals to u is already 0 plus a into t. A is given as 10 into t is missing. So therefore, t is equals to 20 by 10. So 10 twos are, so 2 seconds. Is that clear, everybody? This is question number 7, which was very easy. Still 2 questions are there in the exercise, question number 9 and 10, but that we will do after one small last theoretical part of the chapter, and that is uniform circular motion. Uniform circular motion. The name itself suggests you that here the particle is going or moving on the circular path. First of all, see, what can you conclude by yourself? Try to find out. Here the particle, the path, circular means it is nothing but the path, shape of the path, means here the particle is traveling on the circular path. Uniform word stands for what? It's very important to understand this. Uniform means uniform motion. At the very beginning we have seen uniform motion. Whenever you heard uniform motion, it is given uniform motion. Uniform motion means speed is constant. Speed is constant, not velocity. Not velocity, because velocity is a vector quantity, and to keep the velocity constant, path should be straight, and here the path is circular. It's not straight. Okay, so it means here the particle is moving with the constant speed or uniform speed, you can say, on a circular path. Then such type of motion is called as uniform circular motion. Let me write. If an object moves in a circular path with uniform speed or constant speed, then its motion is called uniform circular motion. You can say the definition. If an object moves in a circular path, simple, it's a very simple definition. If an object moves in a circular path, because the name suggests you, and with the uniform motion, means uniform speed, not velocity. Because see, why it is not constant velocity motion? Because constant velocity requires magnitude and direction both should be constant, and for that path of velocity should be straight line, and here the path is not straight line. You can draw the graph like, you can draw the figure that if one of the particle moves on the circular path like this, for example, you have a piece of stone tied at the thread and rotated in a circular path with a uniform speed like this. See, the figure is given in your textbook that, for example, you yourself are rotating one of the stone like this. Then what exactly it happens? Consider this is your hand, okay, and here is the stone at the other end, okay, and here is what? The stone tied. Now what happens, for example, it is it is revolving on this path in the anti-clockwise manner, for example. So one thing you have to maintain the speed. Means you are continuously revolving the stone with the same speed. You are neither increasing nor decreasing the speed. You are keeping the speed constant. Okay. But at any point, if you observe, at any point, if I draw the arrow, at any point, at this point, the direction of motion is like this. The stone comes here. If at this point direction of motion, if you want to draw, then this is the direction of motion. At this point direction is like this. At this point direction of motion is like this. At every point, any point. For example, here if you want to draw the direction of motion, see, to understand the direction of motion during the activity, at one of the time what you do, that you are revolving the stone, at suddenly you leave the thread from your hand. So for example, you are revolving the stone, and for example at this point you have left the thread from your hand. So what you will observe? The stone still going to rotate in the circular path? Obviously not, because once you leave the thread from your hand, at any point, from that point the stone travels on a straight line. So that indicates that path, actual path of the motion at that point. See, remember, if someone asks you that during the revolutionary motion or during the circular motion, what is the direction of path at any point? See, path seems to be circular, okay, but direction of motion at every point is a straight line always. At any point, if you draw the direction of motion, it is always a straight line. Okay, let me write some points, some facts. Facts number 1. When an object moves on a circular path, direction of motion changes continuously. Okay, and therefore, and hence, type of motion is accelerated motion, because velocity changes, and already we know that velocity, when the velocity changes, it is accelerated type of motion. So remember, uniform circular motion is uniform accelerated motion also. Its acceleration is constant. Velocity is not constant. If you remember, I have told you during the topic of acceleration that acceleration can be of two types, either by changing magnitude of velocity or by changing direction of velocity. Here this is the example that this is the accelerated motion by changing the direction of velocity. Otherwise the speed is constant. For example, here the speed is 10 meter per second. So here the speed is 10 meter per second. Here the speed is 10. So at every moment the speed is 10 meter per second. Means magnitude of velocity is same, but the direction keep on changes. So the type of motion is uniform accelerated motion. So remember, uniform circular motion is also uniform accelerated motion. Now, for example, the particle starts its journey from this point. It revolves and come back to this point. So when one complete round is over, the distance traveled by the particle is according to its circumference, that is 2 pi r, where r is the radius. Can I write like this, that distance travelled by a body during one complete revolution is 2 pi r, and time required for that is t. Therefore, the linear speed of circular motion, linear speed we can say, is equals to distance upon time. Speed is equals to distance upon time. You know that is called as linear. Why it is linear? Because at every point the stone has a tendency to move on a linear path. So linear speed v is equals to distance upon time, distance 2 pi r and time t. So 2 pi r by t. So for the uniform circular motion, if you want to calculate speed, we have a formula, v is equals to 2 pi r by t, distance upon time. Distance 2 pi r, time for that is t. Again let me clear you, it is having the speed constant. What is constant? Speed is constant, not the velocity. And if the velocity is not constant, what is the reason for that? Velocity has two things, magnitude and direction. Here the magnitude is constant but direction is not. That is why it is uniform accelerated motion. Okay, here we have drawn the arrows which represents the direction of velocity at every point. Okay, that we understood. But once it is accelerated motion, acceleration also must have some direction. So what is the direction of acceleration here? Listen to me, direction of acceleration here at any point. At here the direction of acceleration is different. Here the direction of acceleration is different. Here the direction of acceleration is different. I am not talking about the direction of velocity. I am talking about the direction of acceleration, because acceleration is also one type of vector quantity. So remember, just for your information I am telling you, direction of acceleration is always towards the center. Direction of acceleration is always towards center. Direction of acceleration is always towards center. 4 times I have told you that in the uniform circular motion, direction of velocity can be drawn by drawing the tangent at any point. This is tangent in terms of circle. Okay, so these are the directions of velocity I have drawn. But what is the direction of acceleration? Direction of acceleration is always towards the center of circular path. Okay, so have you seen such type of examples in your surroundings that the particle is performing uniform circular motion? Yes, one of the example is that one of the stone is tied on the thread and you are rotating it with the uniform speed. Second, the moon and the earth. The moon is revolving around the earth is revolving around the sun. These are the best examples of uniform circular motion. The fan, the blades of the fan moving around the center. A satellite, artificial satellites are revolving around the earth. Okay, these are some examples of uniform circular motion. Now, regarding this, we have 2 questions to solve from the exercise, and that will be the end of the chapter. Page number 113, question number 9 and 10 to do, and that's all for that. State which of the following situations are possible and give an example for each of these. First, an object with a constant acceleration but with zero velocity. Velocity is zero and acceleration is constant. So that is possible only in one case. There is new case for you. When you throw a particle in the upward direction, you know that its initial velocity is not zero. You have supplied some velocity, so it goes up, and we know that as it goes up, its velocity decreases, and at the last moment, when it reaches the maximum height, its velocity becomes zero. Okay, and when it goes up and up, it is performing uniform retarded motion, and in one of the numerical we have seen that is nearly 9.8 meter per second square. I have written minus because it is retarded motion. So here velocity is not zero, here velocity decreases, but velocity decreases, but acceleration remains constant. At the last point where the velocity is zero, but acceleration is still not zero. So this is the example where acceleration is constant but zero velocity. Acceleration constant with zero velocity. So here what we will add in 1a, that when a particle thrown in vertically upward direction. Second, an object moving in a certain direction with an acceleration in a perpendicular direction. So, acceleration perpendicular to motion, an object moving in a certain direction. Recently, we have seen uniform circular motion. For example, again, this one. At any point, if I ask you, what is the direction of motion? If this particle is revolving in the anti-clockwise direction, like this, then what is the direction of motion here? Like this. What is the direction of motion here? Like this, like this, like this. What is the direction of acceleration here? Towards center, like this. So can you see these two are perpendicular? Which two are perpendicular? Direction of motion, and this is direction of acceleration. So direction of motion and direction of acceleration here also perpendicular. Can you see? This is tangent in terms of circle. Remember, in terms of circle geometry language, this is tangent and this is radius. What is tangent in terms of circle or in terms of maths? That at any point of a circle you draw a line which just touch a single point of a circle. See, not like this. It is intersecting 2 points of a circle, and the line which intersect 2 points of a circle is called as secant. But we are not talking about that. We are talking about a line which just touch a single point, and that is called as tangent. This is center, so this is radius obviously. So at the point where the tangent is already drawn, if you draw the radius, these two will be always perpendicular. So here they are asking about such type of motion where the particle is moving in a certain direction with acceleration perpendicular to direction. So it's only one example, uniform circular motion. So here in the B you can say, yes, it is possible, it's possible in uniform circular motion only. So both the situations are possible, and I have given you the example for both. Question number 10 and the last question of this chapter. Here will be the end of the chapter. An object moving in a certain direction with an acceleration in perpendicular direction. Question number 10 now, last one. An artificial satellite is moving in a circular orbit of radius 42250 km. Okay, so the radius of the circular path is given 42,250 km. Calculate its speed if it takes 24 hours to revolve around the earth. It's a uniform circular motion, it is. So when the particle is performing uniform circular motion, then we can calculate its speed by formula. This is page number 113, exercise question number last means 10. Radius in which the artificial satellite is revolving is 42,250 km. The time required to complete one periodic time is 24 hours to revolve around the earth. So 24 hours is the time required to complete one revolution. And they are asking to find the linear speed of this satellite. Okay, so speed is equals to 2 pi r by t. 2 into pi means 22 by 7, r 42250, and by t means 24. Okay, so if you solve by yourself, you can solve it by yourself by cutting and that, so it will be 11,065.48 kilometer per hour. And if you want to convert it into meter per second, it will be 3.07 kilometer per second. Sorry. Yeah, it is just kilometer per second. But you forget this. This is your answer. Forget the last one. Kilometer per hour is the proper unit already. No need to convert it into meter per second. Okay, students. So here is the end of the chapter number 8, motion. Keep practicing, and if you have any doubt, feel free to contact us. Till then, best of luck.